There comes a point in life when the noise outside gets too loud, and the silence within becomes unbearable. You stop trusting people, you stop trusting situations, but worst of all, you stop trusting yourself. You begin to doubt your judgment, your feelings, your ability to choose right. It feels like you're standing in a storm without shelter, exposed, uncertain, and alone. But here's the truth. Feeling safe again is not about controlling the world. It's about rebuilding the foundation within you. It's about learning to sit with yourself without fear. Let's talk about 9 steps that help you feel safe inside and rebuild trust with yourself again. Safety isn't found, it's built. It's not a place you arrive at or a person who grants it to you. It's something you create within yourself, moment by moment, through the choices you make and the way you respond to the world around you. We often think that safety will come once life becomes predictable, once people stop hurting us, once everything finally settles down. But real safety doesn't come from external stability, it comes from internal strength. It's not about what's happening outside of you, but about what you've built inside of you to handle it. You see, people search for safety in all the wrong places. They chase relationships, jobs, or habits that promise comfort. They think if they find the right environment, the right partner, or the right success, they'll finally feel secure. But even when they get those things, something still feels uncertain. Because the truth is, the world will never stop changing. People will disappoint you, circumstances will shift, life will always be unpredictable. So if your safety depends on the outside world, you'll always live on shaky ground. Real safety begins when you decide to stop outsourcing it and start building it from within. Building safety is about trust that you can handle whatever comes. It's about knowing that even when life gets messy, you won't abandon yourself. You'll stay, you'll show up. You'll comfort yourself instead of criticizing yourself. You'll pause before reacting. You'll remind yourself that you've survived every hard day before this one. You'll realize that strength isn't the absence of fear, but the ability to keep moving even when fear is present. That's the foundation of real safety, trust anchored in compassion. When you build safety within, you stop running from uncertainty. You learn to breathe through discomfort. You start creating boundaries that protect your peace, not because you're afraid, but because you've finally learned what deserves your energy and what doesn't. You no longer need everyone's approval because your worth no longer hangs in their hands. You no longer chase validation because you've built it at home in the quiet corners of your own heart. You stop needing to control everything because you've realized that the only thing you truly need to manage is your response to what happens. Internal safety is built through small, consistent choices. It's built when you choose to rest instead of burn out, when you choose to forgive instead of hold on, when you choose honesty over pretending, when you choose to pause instead of react. Every time you show yourself kindness in moments of stress, you reinforce the message that you can be trusted. Every time you stay when your instinct is to escape, you strengthen your emotional foundation. Safety doesn't come from eliminating chaos. It comes from trusting yourself to remain calm within it. And one day, you'll notice something has shifted. The world won't feel as threatening. People won't have the power to shake your peace so easily. You'll find that even when life gets hard, there's a quiet steadiness within you. That's when you'll know you've built your own safety, not found it, not borrowed it, but created it with your own 2 hands and your own courageous heart. Trust is a choice before it's a feeling. Most people wait until they feel ready to trust again, as if trust is something that naturally returns when the pain fades. But the truth is, waiting to feel trust is like waiting for courage before taking a leap. It rarely comes first. Trust is a decision you make long before your emotions align with it. It's the brave act of saying, I will choose to believe again, even though I'm scared, even though I've been hurt. You don't need to feel safe to choose trust. You build safety by choosing it. When you've been disappointed, betrayed, or let down, your heart builds walls to protect itself. You start to analyze everything and everyone, looking for signs that it might be safe to open up again. But trust doesn't begin when all the risks are gone. It begins when you acknowledge the risks and still decide to move forward. It's the choice to give the benefit of the doubt when your past screams otherwise. It's the choice to lean in even when your instinct tells you to pull away. Because trust is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to keep your heart open in spite of it. The problem is that we often misunderstand trust. We think it's something we give to others based on their behavior, but true trust starts within. You cannot trust others if you do not first trust yourself. Your judgment, your intuition, your ability to handle what happens if things go wrong. When you say, "I can't trust anyone," what you often mean is, "I no longer trust myself to survive being hurt again." So rebuilding trust begins by rebuilding faith in your own resilience. When you know you can handle disappointment, rejection, or uncertainty, trust becomes less terrifying. Choosing trust doesn't mean being naive. It doesn't mean ignoring red flags or pretending everything is fine. It means balancing wisdom with openness. It means choosing connection over isolation, even when isolation feels safer. It means reminding yourself that not everyone is the same, that new experiences don't deserve to be punished for old wounds. Every time you choose to trust a little, you reclaim a piece of your freedom from fear. The choice to trust again is an act of strength, not weakness. It takes courage to extend your hand when you've been burned before. It takes maturity to understand that vulnerability and danger are not the same thing. The moment you decide to trust again, you start creating space for healing. Your heart begins to soften. Your relationships begin to grow deeper. Life begins to move again, because trust is what keeps energy flowing between you and the world. Eventually, feelings catch up with choices. The fear doesn't vanish instantly, but over time it quiets. Your nervous system relaxes. You begin to feel safe where you once felt threatened. And one day, without realizing it, you'll notice that the choice you made long ago, the choice to trust even when you didn't feel it, has become the foundation of peace inside you. That's when you'll understand that trust was never something to wait for. It was something to live into. Healing happens in small steps, not grand leaps. We often imagine that healing will come in a single breakthrough moment, a sudden realization, a conversation, or a burst of clarity that makes everything better. But real healing rarely looks like that. It's slow, quiet, and sometimes invisible. It happens in the small, ordinary choices you make every day, the ones that seem insignificant but slowly change the way you see yourself and the world. Healing isn't a finish line you cross. It's a direction you walk in, one small, steady step at a time. The human heart doesn't recover through dramatic transformations. It heals through patience, repetition, and consistency. It heals when you choose to show up for yourself on the days you least want to. It heals when you decide to forgive a little more today than you did yesterday. It heals when you choose to rest instead of punish yourself for needing time. It's in those moments of grace, the quiet acts of self-compassion, where real transformation begins. Big leaps may look impressive, but it's the small steps that rebuild your strength. The truth is, healing is often boring. There are no fireworks, no applause, no clear sign that you're getting better. It's waking up, feeling the same ache, and deciding to try again anyway. It's choosing to be kind to yourself when the world isn't. It's catching your own negative thoughts and gently replacing them with softer ones. Healing doesn't mean the pain disappears overnight. It means you're learning to carry it differently. You're learning that progress can be slow and still meaningful. There will be days when it feels like nothing is changing, when you question if all your effort is even worth it. But that's the thing about small steps, they don't always show their power right away. Like seeds planted in the ground, their growth is hidden beneath the surface until one day you realize something beautiful has taken root. Healing works the same way. You may not notice the difference from day to day, But over time, the person you're becoming will feel lighter, calmer, and more grounded than the person you once were. Sometimes we rush the process because we're desperate to escape the pain. We think if we can just push hard enough, we can force ourselves to heal faster. But healing doesn't respond to pressure. It unfolds in its own time, in its own rhythm. You can't demand peace from a heart that's still learning how to breathe. All you can do is create the right conditions, patience, compassion, rest, and allow healing to find its way. So take the small step. Make the tiny choice that moves you closer to peace, even if no one else sees it. Healing isn't about doing everything at once. It's about doing one thing at a time consistently until the small steps become a new way of living. And when you look back, you'll realize it wasn't one big leap that saved you. It was every little moment you chose not to give up. Vulnerability is your bridge back home. It's the path that leads you from who you pretend to be back to who you really are. Most of us spend years building walls around our emotions, believing they protect us from pain. We hide behind confidence, humor, or busyness because it feels safer than admitting that we're scared, lonely, or unsure. But those walls that keep pain out also keep connection out. They isolate us from others and, more importantly, from ourselves. Vulnerability is the act of lowering those walls, even just a little, and saying, "This is me, not perfect, not finished, but real." That's where the return to yourself begins. To be vulnerable is to be human in the most honest way. It's the moment when you stop performing strength and start embracing truth. It's not weakness to admit you're struggling. It's strength to show up anyway. The world tells you to toughen up, to move on, to stay composed. But healing happens when you stop pretending to be unbreakable. Real courage is sitting with your emotions without running from them. It's looking at your fears, your shame, and your pain and choosing not to hide. Vulnerability is the bridge between the life you're surviving and the life you're meant to live. When you choose vulnerability, you invite connection. You give people permission to see you as you are, not as you think they want you to be. It's in those raw, unguarded moments that real relationships are built. When you say, "I don't have it all together," you allow others to exhale and admit that they don't either. Vulnerability doesn't push people away, it draws them closer. It builds trust because it's rooted in truth. And it reminds you that you were never meant to carry everything alone. Being vulnerable also means being honest with yourself. It's easy to hide behind busyness or distractions to avoid facing what hurts. But coming home to yourself means sitting in that discomfort and listening to what it's trying to tell you. Maybe it's grief that wants to be acknowledged, guilt that wants to be forgiven, or dreams that want to be remembered. Vulnerability gives those parts of you a voice. It opens a door to self-compassion, because when you stop judging your emotions, you start understanding them. It's terrifying at first to be open, to be seen, to risk rejection. But the risk of vulnerability is smaller than the cost of disconnection. When you numb your emotions to avoid pain, you also numb your capacity for joy. You can't selectively shut down parts of yourself. You either feel fully or you live half alive. Vulnerability is the key that unlocks your fullness again. It's the bridge that leads you from fear back to freedom, from isolation back to intimacy, from self-protection back to self-acceptance. One day, you'll realize that the moments you thought made you weak were the ones that made you whole. You'll see that vulnerability was never your downfall. It was your way home. Because when you allow yourself to be seen, truly seen, you stop running from your truth and finally remember who you were before the world told you to hide. Forgiveness restores internal peace. It's the quiet medicine that mends what resentment has broken. Many people carry anger and bitterness, believing that holding on to pain keeps them safe. They replay the past in their minds, searching for fairness, waiting for apologies that may never come. But what they don't realize is that every time they revisit that pain, they reopen the same wound. Forgiveness isn't about excusing what happened or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about choosing to stop bleeding from the same memory. It's the act of setting yourself free, not the person who hurt you. When you hold on to resentment, you think you're protecting yourself, but what you're really doing is chaining yourself to the past. The energy you spend resenting others robs you of peace in the present. Your mind becomes a battlefield where old words and actions echo endlessly. You begin to live in defense mode, ready to guard yourself from future pain, but forgiveness disarms that tension. It allows you to release the emotional weight that's been pressing on your heart for too long. It doesn't mean you approve of what happened. It means you're done letting it define you. Forgiveness starts with understanding that people act from their own wounds, fears, and limitations. The one who hurt you was likely hurting too, though that doesn't justify their actions. It simply reminds you that pain is passed on when it's not healed. By forgiving, you break that cycle. You stop letting their brokenness dictate your peace. You stop carrying someone else's mistakes inside your own heart. You reclaim your power by deciding that you deserve to live unburdened. Forgiving yourself is just as vital. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is the one staring back at you in the mirror. You blame yourself for trusting too much, for missing the signs, for making the wrong choices. But holding yourself hostage to your past mistakes only deepens your suffering. Forgiveness toward yourself is not saying you didn't make errors, it's saying you've learned from them. It's giving yourself permission to grow beyond the version of you who didn't yet know better. You can't build peace while fighting a war inside your own mind. True forgiveness doesn't happen instantly. It's a process, sometimes a long one. Some days you'll feel lighter, and other days the anger will return. That's okay. Healing isn't linear. Forgiveness is not a single moment. It's a decision you keep making until your heart catches up. Each time you choose to let go a little more, you reclaim a piece of your peace. You start to feel your heart soften. The memories lose their sharpness. You stop reacting with bitterness and start responding with understanding. Eventually, you'll realize that forgiveness was never about them. It was always about you, your freedom, your sanity, your peace. You'll notice that your body feels lighter, your mind clearer, and your spirit calmer. The storms inside begin to settle because forgiveness has restored balance where bitterness once ruled. You'll walk forward not because you've forgotten, but because you've decided that your peace matters more than your pain. And in that decision, you finally come home to yourself. Confidence grows from keeping promises to yourself. It's not built through external praise, achievements, or applause, but through the quiet, consistent act of doing what you said you would do. Every time you make a promise to yourself and keep it, you reinforce the belief that you can rely on you. And that's where true confidence begins, in trust. Because confidence isn't loud or boastful. It's the calm assurance that you will show up for yourself no matter what. It's knowing that your word holds weight even when no one else is watching. Most people lose confidence not because they fail, but because they stop believing themselves. They say they'll start something and don't. They make goals, break them, and then criticize themselves for lacking discipline. But what they're really doing is teaching their mind not to trust their own word. Each broken promise chips away at self-trust. And without self-trust, confidence can't survive. Confidence is built the same way trust in a friendship is, through consistency, honesty, and reliability. The more you prove to yourself that you follow through, the more your inner voice begins to believe you again. The promises don't have to be big. They can be as simple as waking up when you said you would, drinking water instead of scrolling your phone, taking that short walk, or saying no to something that drains you. Every small act of follow through is like laying another brick in the foundation of your confidence. Over time, these small wins accumulate. They create an unshakable sense of reliability within you. You begin to see yourself as capable, not because of perfection, but because of persistence. Confidence also grows when you show yourself compassion after you stumble. No one keeps every promise perfectly. There will be days you fall short, but instead of using that as proof that you're weak, see it as a moment to practice self-honesty. Ask yourself why you didn't follow through. Was it fear, exhaustion, or avoidance? Then recommit. When you approach failure with curiosity instead of shame, you keep the relationship with yourself intact. You show yourself that you can fall and still get up, and that's real strength. Keeping promises to yourself also teaches you discipline, not the harsh, punishing kind, but the gentle kind that says, I respect myself enough to do this. It helps you align your actions with your values. When your words and behaviors match, you feel grounded. You don't need to fake confidence because you're living in integrity with who you are. The world can doubt you, but you no longer need to doubt yourself. With time, this internal trust transforms the way you move through life. You speak with more certainty, you take more risks, and you stop needing validation from others. You start believing that you are capable because you have evidence. All the small promises you've kept have built that truth inside you. That's the beauty of confidence. It doesn't come from pretending to be strong. It comes from proving to yourself again and again that you already are.